In this project, your work will be scored based on 2 cognitive skills: identifying patterns and relationships, and making connections and inferences. So what is a pattern? A pattern is something that repeats itself over and over again, like the lines and squares in this drawing. And what is a relationship then? Well, a relationship is the way that things are connected to each other. So what is this skill all about? In your project, this skill means that you're able to make lines with a ruler, straight lines. You're able to recognize the different directions of lines. You also are able to see that lines and shapes become forms. In this project, this skill also means that recognizing line, shapes, and forms in works of art is something you'll be able to do. And you'll be able to recognize how where you place objects in an image can show depth or distance. So there are a lot of things that you'll be doing to help show us that you understand and have this particular skill. Remember that you're going to be drawing a scene from a city, a cityscape. And so the types of patterns you might see in this project are things like lines that repeat, shapes that happen over and over again, and maybe even buildings that repeat in your drawing. That means they appear more than once. And depending on the artworks that you look at or how you create your city scene, you might even see a pattern of colors that repeat. When you're all done with your cityscape drawing, it is going to receive a score. And we will be looking for those 2 skills that I mentioned in order to give you a score for this. You can earn a score for each of those skills anywhere from 1 to 3 points. You can earn 3 points if you are able to draw lines and shapes, and you do show patterns in using lines and shapes in the proper directions to make your drawing look 3-dimensional. And it'll also help you earn a 3 if you list ways that Renaissance art is like real life. And you'll see that as one of the questions in an activity that you do during this project. You'll be reading articles, maybe watching videos, maybe viewing some presentations, and after doing all that, you'll take some notes. And one of the things you'll need to list on the note paper is how art from the past was sort of like real life. And you'll be looking at artwork from a certain time in the past called the Renaissance. So if you do all of those things, then you'll probably get a 3 for your score for this skill. The other skill that I mentioned is making connections and inferences. So what is a connection? A connection is when one thing is related to or linked to another thing. And an inference is when you've figured something out based on its clues. So in this project, this skill is all about doing things like noticing the connection between math and art and being able to compare and describe shapes and forms. Some of the connections you'll see, or some of the relationships you'll see, is how shapes become forms, like how a circle becomes a sphere and how a flat square becomes a 3-dimensional cube. So that's all a part of what you'll be practicing and learning in this project. So this skill is also worth a score of 1 to 3 points. And you could earn a 3 for this if you give an example in one of your activities of how an artist uses math. So if you also can explain how you're going to use math for your project of drawing the cityscape yourself, that will help too. And if you can kind of connect the two, like what you do as an artist compared to what another artist has done in the past, then that would be really great, and that also helps you get a 3 for this skill.